Hello and welcome to episode 91 of the Mousewitch Makes knitting podcast. The one, the only, the original, except no substitutes. My name is Mandy, sometimes known as Mouse. This is Miss Poppy, my co-host. She's on guard duty. She cannot spare us her time right now. I'm not sure what she's guarding us from. I think it might be the wind. Okay. Got a few things to show you, but before I do, I just want to do some quick admin-y things. First of all, Thursday next week, Thursday the 30th, is our next members only Zoom. We will be in British summertime by then. Our clocks change on Saturday night, Sunday morning, this coming weekend. So, depending on where you are in the world, you might have to readjust your time because we are going back an hour. I think America's already changed, don't know about Australia. And the rest of Europe, I've no idea. The other thing I wanted to say very quickly is kind of a friend of the podcast. She gave us some codes for prizes last year. DanaRae Makes, who is a sock designer, is running a thing where her scrappy socks, proceeds of 4 of her scrappy sock patterns, are going to help out what she calls a member of our maker community. Basically, it's a knitter in Oregon with cancer whose sick time has run out, and so she's trying to raise some money to help her out financially. It is very dark in here again. I might have to stop in a minute and turn the light off. Anyway, I'm going to put a link down below. The 4 patterns that are in the thing. Wildflower Seeds. You've already seen this one. I had this one and knit my socks from it last month. These are all sock patterns that can be used for scraps. Peppermint garlands. Quilted stripes. As you can see, I went and bought the other 3. And scattering petals socks. This one has a 4-ply and a DK. And this one, I think, can be knit cuff down or toe up. It's all in the same pattern. Obviously, you don't have to buy them all. I've been on a pattern buying ban this year, so found an excuse to break it and buy 3. I know I'm so naughty, but I don't care because it was for charity. Right, I will try and remember and put the names of the patterns below, but if you have a look at DanaRae Makes on Instagram, there's a post on there that tells you about it. Right. On to proper knitting stuff. Do I need the light on, do you think? Will it help if I pull that up some more? Well, that might help actually. Oh wait. Oh, it'll come down on me. No. It won't come down on me, it'll come down on Poppy, and that's worse because she'll be very angry with me. And you can bet your life that the sun's going to come out now and I'll have to close it again. Right, I've got a finished object to show you. Here comes the sun. I finished, finally, my anthology throw. And there's no way on earth I can get it all on the screen, even if I go over there and stand up. So I'm going to put a picture in so that you can see what it looked like when it first came off the needles. This is it now. I'm peering through a hole in it. I think you can possibly see most of it. I absolutely love it. I didn't know when it was on the needles. Obviously it was on I think it was on a 120 meter cable, but it was all squished up, so you can't really see how it's going to look. You can get an idea, but you can't really tell. And when I took it off the needles and spread it out, oh my goodness. So the pattern is, as I'm sure you know, because everyone and their dog was knitting this with their advents, the pattern is the Anthology Throw by Helen Stewart. It was the first of the knit vent patterns last year, 2022. It's now available on its own. I wish I'd waited and bought it on its own, because I paid for the whole thing, and that's probably the only pattern out of it I'm going to use, which is a little bit annoying, but that's what you get for being impatient, isn't it? I knit it on the size needle that it told you to, which I think was a 4mm. And the yarn I used was my Advent from My Yarny Corner. So this is almost entirely My Yarny Corner Advent, but I did take 3 out. That was 2, 3. I took out these 3. Those 2. The brown one I felt would, like, I don't know, darken it a bit, and I was enjoying the pastel-y colours. This one I took out just because I love the colours in it. And the same with this one. This was day 23, I think. But the colours were just so gorgeous. So these 3 are going into my habitation throw, which I'm making with yarn that's been dyed by my friends. So they have a home already. But I ran out. I didn't have enough just to do the last couple of rows and the bind off. So I fished out this thing again, which, if you remember, I used for the heels on my socks that I showed you last week. So I've now done, I don't know how many rows, 3 rows and bound off with it, and there's still enough left to do the toes. This is like the never-ending ball of yarn. Originally it went into my smorgasbord shawl. There's just, it won't run out. So that's another whip from the shelf of shame dealt with. It is, well, I'll put another picture in here so you can actually see how big it is. I am 5'4"-ish, 5'3" maybe. So you can see this is how big it is. I haven't blocked it as such. I washed it, I stuck it in the machine with some Eucalan and just put it through on a rinse. And then I just hung it over an airer to dry. So it has kind of, it's tidied up the stitches, but it's not given me the pointy frill. I'm not that worried about that, really. I'm probably going to mostly end up wearing it like this in here in the evenings when I'm on Zoom and it's chilly. Oh, that's nasty. My hair is wet again today. I'm so sorry. I've been drying it with a hairdryer the last couple of weeks, and it's made it really greasy, so I'm having to wash it more often. So I thought I'm just going to have to go back to drying it, letting it air dry, because then I only have to wash it a couple of times a week. Sometimes I can get away with once a week, so that's better than every 2 or 3 days, isn't it? Yes, so hair care aside, very pleased with it. It will also be the ideal size for taking naps under, and as you know, naps are one of my favourite things. Naps and stripes, it's stripy, I can nap under it, what is there not to like? Right, oh my gosh, that's a very long white hair. That is not mine though. I have got some white hairs, but that one is that long. That is Mr. Davis's hair, I'm sure. Thanks, Dave. Right, so having completed one of my shelf of shame projects, which I'm going to take off because I'm starting to overheat. I might just keep it on my knee though, so it's not too far away. Excuse me while I just re-scooch. Right. I don't want frizz. I can't be doing with the frizz. No frizz. Having finished one of my Shelf of Shame projects, I fished out another one. And because I've just finished this Advent project, I fished out the other Advent project that got abandoned. This one, if you can remember that far back, I think this one got abandoned on day 12. So this hasn't been knit on for quite some time. And once again, sorry about the crinkling. It's a black and white picture, for which I apologise. This is the Advent wrap by DanaRae Makes. DanaRae Makes, I think. So, although it says it's a wrap, it's kind of a sleeveless cardigan, a waistcoaty. I never know whether to say gilet or gillet. It's one of them things. This one I'm knitting with my Advent from Amanda at Little Lycac, which, when I had my sort out at the end of December, obviously I'd opened them all by then. I thoughtfully wound them all into balls, so I'm all ready to go. Because what I'd been doing with this one, there were 20-gram minis, and I had been splitting them into roughly 2 10-grams, because I'm knitting both sides at once. So I'll just give you a little refresher of what we have so far. So pretty. Obviously it goes, where are we? This way. So you're knitting really from hem to hem, and then as it gets wider it kind of moves out. So this is day 12, so probably about halfway. So I suppose it's going to come to about there, which is, you know, it's kind of a cap sleeve. And I would really like to have this finished for the spring. I can see if I'm showing you the right side. Yes, that is the right side. Because obviously this would be ideal over a long sleeve t-shirt or just an ordinary t-shirt when it's getting a bit chillier. And the colours are so pretty. I'll move it a bit closer so you can see. And Amanda said to me before I ordered it, she said, you know, they are quite pastel-y colours. And I'm not really a pastels girl, I'm sure you've noticed. But because of the colour of the pastels, I am absolutely loving them. And some of them I don't think are that pastel. So she need not have worried. I don't think there's been a single one in there that I've thought, oh, I don't really want to put that one in. Not keen on that colour. I really like them all. So, I'm going to get some work done on this. I have got until, oh my goodness, the 1st of May before I have to cast on my next Stephen West Marathon shawl. Because the vertices unite, I opted to knit the smaller one. It's here, hanging just out of frame, or you can't see it. Yeah. I showed it to you last week, and it took me a week to knit it. So that left me with the rest of the 2 months that I had allotted for it to catch up on quite a lot of other things. However, I have cast on some new stuff, so that's not gone quite as to plan. But I'm going to get on with this, and I would like very much to have this finished by probably the middle of April. Let's be realistic and say the end of April, but I think I can get it finished sooner. Because what I could go back to doing is knitting it as I was originally, so a colour a day, which would mean it would only take me 12 days, wouldn't it? That might be a plan. So yes, that is the next thing off the shelf of shame to be dealt with. Let me pop its pattern back in there because you cannot see the chaos. I might show you at the end the chaos that is currently this room. One of my jobs today, after I've finished doing this, I've got some orders to pack, and I've got to sort this room out because I'm beginning to get to, I can't actually move in here. While I'm on the subject, thank you so much for everyone who visited the shop last week. Dave is absolutely flabbergasted that you all snapped up his leather things so quickly. This is mine. This is one that I stole that didn't go into the shop. There was only enough leather to do one of these, and I pinched it. Sorry. We were going to go yesterday to Pittard's, which is where he buys his leather, but to be perfectly frank, we were both a bit knackered, and so we're going to go next Monday. But the next shop update won't be until, I think, around about the 19th of April, so there's plenty of time. So if you wanted something and you missed out, there will be more, and he's also working on some other things to go in there as well. The sun has come out quite brightly now. It might go away again. There's a big black cloud trying to move over it. You see my glasses darkening. The other thing that I really must put some time into, I fished this out to show you, to try and shame myself into doing something on it. This I cast on the 1st of January. It's my Flying Foxtail wrap, which is on my sorry, I've got a croak back. Hang on a minute. Sorry, I'm back. Yeah, I cast it on the 1st of January, and I've done one repeat, and I've not touched it since. And I gave myself a bit of a scare with the brioche on the Starflake shawl, and I think that's why I've not touched this since. So I've got one pattern repeat done, which is not really the make along that I'm doing it for. Is Alex from My Yarny Corner, and it's the Test Your Limits make along, which finishes on the 1st of June, and I could have this done by then very easily, but not if I don't actually do something with the needles and the yarn. It's not going to knit itself sat in the bag, is it? Unfortunately. So I'm going to try and work on both of these. The one will give me a bit of a break from the other, and yes, hopefully next week I will at least have done another pattern repeat. It's a 16 row pattern repeat, so that's not very much to do, is it? Even though it's brioche. I think I did that in just a couple of hours. I don't think it took very long because there aren't very many stitches. So I really just ought to crack on with it, didn't I? I'm not doing it the full length. The full length is enormous. I think it's about 8 feet long. I am not doing that. 88 inches, 2.24 meters. That's awfully long. It will not be that long. I'm doing it until I run out of yarn, basically. So it's going to be about half size, which I'm hoping, because you only need 200 grams of each yarn. So I'm hoping I've got 100 grams of each yarn. I'll get about a metre, which should be long enough just to come around my neck, a bit like a cowl and pin. You want to know what yarn I'm using, I expect. Poppy's got bored, she's laid down. There's this one, which I was given by Denise from Dear Designs, and this is a Cello Wools. It's 100% acrylic, and it's called Sandy Beach, I think. I saw that somewhere on it. Yes, Sandy Beach is the colourway. It's kind of a warm beige, I suppose. It's a bit, not quite the colour you can see there. That's more like it, I suppose. And I'm using it with, because obviously brioche you need two if you're doing 2-colour brioche. I'm using it with this, which is some of my own hand dyed, named by a viewer Blue Lagoon. There isn't any of this in the shop at the moment. I should probably dye it up and stick some in. it is a nice colour. It's one of my favourite colours. I'm going to say it again. I know we all know they're all my favourite colours, but I do have some very favourite colours. This is one of them. Turquoises, bright shocking pinks and lime greens, and of course black. Can't go wrong with black. My very favourite colours. So I've now tried to shame myself into doing some more of that. If you don't see any more of it, maybe not next week, but the week after, all start yelling at me and going, where is your flying foxtail wrap, Mandy? You said you were going to do some work on it. It should be finished by now. Okay. I'm completely out of order with my list, so I'm probably going to have forgotten stuff, but never mind. Right. While we're on the Stephen West Marathon trail, Starflanket. I'm going to have to put another picture in. That's my row counter on the floor then. I'm going to put a picture in here of what this looked like before I picked up all the stitches, because you can't really see it very well now. Finished all my parallelograms, joined them together. Caroline from the Arya podcast pre-warned me that joining them together was going to be a nightmare, but when it actually came to it, it wasn't as bad as I expected. I could see, if you read the instructions, it sounded really, really complicated, but if you looked at it and you looked at the previous joins where you'd picked up stitches, you could see where you had, which bit you had to sew to which bit, if that makes sense. So this is my joined seam, and it doesn't look a whole lot different to any of the others, so that's okay. I started the next section, and the next section is being knit in this pale grey, which is Stylecraft Special DK in warm grey. This one is Special DK in graphite. This one is Hayfield Bonus DK in flesh tone. We're not going to go over that again. And the next colour to add, which I will be doing when I knit on it next because I've finished this stripe, is this one, the gold. So the gold will go on. And like the Starflake shawl, the Starflanket has a striped section, which will be this warm grey and the gold. And then it is followed by, dun dun dun, the brioche. There is an option, as with the shawl, there is an option to do garter stripes rather than brioche. I bottled the brioche on the shawl. I am 99.9% determined to do the brioche on the blanket. It should be easier because all I'm going to do is go round and round. If it proves not to be easier, what went wrong, here's the thing, and it's entirely my own fault. What went wrong with the shawl was I did some of the brioche and then I put it down for about 6 days. And then I came back to it and I thought, I don't need to look at the pattern because I know what to do. Well, it turns out I did not know what to do. I thought I knew what to do. I only did half of what I should have been doing, and I made a hideous mess, which I tried to fix, but it just didn't look right. I ended up pulling it down and I thought, to heck with this, I'm gonna do the garter stripes. So that's what happened with the shawl. Hopefully I will pay attention to what I'm doing with the blanket, not get all cocky and think I know how to do it better than I do, and make a mess and have to pull it back, because there are considerably more stitches in the blanket than in the shawl, and if I have to pull it back, I'll be quite depressed, I think. So those are, although you can't see it terribly well, the 4 colours for the Starflanket. Yeah. Kind of regretting not putting this colour here and this colour there, so that the dark 2 went together. Doesn't matter. Not the end of anybody's world. So that's been progressed upon. Anything else to tell you? It was Mother's Day. This last weekend it was Mother's Day in the UK. And I received some very thoughtful gifts from my family. I've been given some more pans for dyeing in, which I will need when it comes to doing the advents. And a Wool Warehouse voucher from Ewan, which I am really struggling. My instinct is to run out and spend it straight away, but there's no need. I don't actually need any wool at the moment, so I'm trying to restrain myself until I actually need something, and then order it. I was also given another present. And this was not from one of my children, but from a friend. The very lovely Karen from the Recreational Knitting Podcast, completely out of the blue, huge surprise, bought me a pattern. This is the pattern she bought me, which was the new Stephen West pattern that came out on Friday last week, I think. And she said, I saw this and thought of you. I hope you haven't already got it. I was planning to get it. It was in fact sat in my basket on Ravelry. And I talked myself out of it on Friday because I bought the fragmentation pattern. I've got all the yarn set aside ready for it and no time to knit it. Or at least I'm not allowing myself to cast it on because I really need to get these whips down that are left over from last year first. It's not part of my marathon. It's not a priority. I think it's going to be, even though it's a large shawl, quite a quick knit. I'm onto the fragmentation now, not this one. Quite a quick knit because I don't intend to knit it the full size, because Stephen West is like 1.5 foot taller than me and consequently has much longer arms, legs and torso, and I think I will just look like I don't know what. There's a cartoon character in my head and I can't think of their name, but that's what I would look like wrapped up in it. So my plan is to make it slightly smaller. So I thought I must not. A pattern buying ban. I'd already been in and bought those sock patterns. I don't need it right now. You do not need to buy this pattern right now. So I left it in my basket. And just as well I did, because my very, very thoughtful, sweet friend bought it for me. Well, of course, when someone buys you a present, it's rude not to immediately cast said present on, isn't it? So, Sunday afternoon, I fished out all of my 4-ply stash. It's not all hand-dyed, so I struggle. I tend to call it my hand-dyed stash, but it's not all hand-dyed, and I don't want to sound like I've got this massive box of hand-dyed yarn. It is quite massive. There is a lot of hand-dyed in it, but a lot of it is mine. So, you know, my own hand-dyed. So, I got it all out, and poor Ewan came home from work and got co-opted into helping me look for colours. You need 4 colours that you can fade into each other. And I could find lots of sets of 2 and the odd set of 3, but we found 2 sets of 4. Ewan picked 2 of the colours for one of the sets and I picked the other 2, and they were kind of my safe colours. They were kind of a mottly, greeny, orangey brown, a green and a speckly cream with the greens and the browns and the golds from everything else. And I was like 99% sure that was the one I was going to pick. Ewan picked out 4 colours all by himself, and we flipped a coin and Ewan's colours won. So I'm sure you would like to see the colours that a 21-year-old boy with a fixation with World Wars 1 and 2 picked out. The light did a weird thing there. You're probably expecting lots of brick greens, browns, camel, kind of camouflage colours. This is the first colour. This is my own hand dyed. It was one of the very first ones I dyed, and it's kind of a well, you can see, you can see from the glow under my chin, it's bright. The one to follow that is this one. Again, my own hand dyed. Following that will be this one, which is the April Year of Yarn. Damn sun's come out right at the wrong time. Hold it back there, can you see it? You can't really see the speckles though, can you? So it's got the pink in it, and some green and some orange and various other lovely colours. So those three are my own hand dyed. And then the fourth one was a present from my friend Amanda at Christmas. So this is from Little Lycac. You can see her. And it's this one. And it is called One of a Kind for Mouse. So that was a bit of a surprise. But as we've just discussed, my most favourite colours, bright pinks, turquoises and teals, lime green, black. And I don't really have a lot of black in my 4-ply stash. There is some, but it's West Yorkshire spinners, I think. Not really soft enough to put in with the others. Anyway, not that I wanted to, because I'm totally over the moon with this collection that he has put together. He's got quite the eye, you know, young Ewan. So if I put them all together so that you can see them, can I get it along my arm? So I just realised these were all dyed by somebody called Amanda, just not the same Amanda. So that's the order they're going to go in. This one looks a bit out of order because you can't really see the pink speckles. But yeah, so I've cast it on. The Eyelet Burst Shawl is marketed as a beginner shawl pattern, and I thought, looking at it on Instagram and what have you, I thought, it's huge. What kind of a beginner wants to knit an enormous shawl like that? But when you get the pattern is ridiculously simple. I've done this much and I don't even need to look at the pattern anymore. This is once again being graced by one of Denise's front markers. Oh, why will the light not cooperate today? Because obviously it's garter stitch and it's easy to forget which is the front and which is the back. Because I've been looking at this pink yarn, everything on my camera screen now looks grey. I think I've broken my eyes with it. Oh dear. I hope it doesn't do that to other people when I'm wearing it. Yeah, so he picked those and he said, would you wear these colours? And I'm like, well, yeah. So it'll be a lovely summery shawl. Huge. Humongous. But I can see me wearing it in darker days in the winter with black, because it's just going to be so bright and vibrant and happy. So I think that is everything. I was going to say it's a little bit shorter today, but not much, only 5 minutes. So I'm going to leave you there. I will be back next week. Remember to tell me off if I do not knit on the Flying Foxtail wrap, and I will see you next week, where hopefully the light will be a little bit kinder. Until then, happy knitting. Bye guys.